Norse myth in the Bible, part 7. Okay, so the Vikings would only possibly know about Revelation at the best case scenario due to the travels and everything else. This means that the church saw the Vikings were powerful and they started taking over England. The church became scared of their own land and power because their monasteries and churches being looted. And the only possible scenario, or what would be your strategy, is to adapt and overcome. The Christians wanted to show the Vikings that they're not much different and that they could keep the gods if they had wished. The transition to Christianity in Denmark took place gradually and without major conflict, but mainly Scandinavia as a whole never really fully converted because of Sweden. It took a long time there, even till after the Viking Age. The Vikings regarded the new belief as supplementing the Nordic gods, and it was not simply a choice between the old and the new religion. The Vikings' belief in many gods meant that it was possible for the new Christian god, the White Christ, to be worshipped alongside the gods like Thor and Odin, hence the Thor's hammer and the cross in the video that I shown before. This blacksmith mold stone right here, you can see the Thor's hammer and the cross were both being made. Another strategy was to cut off their trade. They had to be baptized in order to trade with them. So, in order for the Vikings to actually prosper and do more raids and everything that they wanted, they had to convert to the Christians, and even though it was a fake conversion. It's kind of coincidental because Revelation 13:16, he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or their foreheads, and that no man might buy, sell, or trade, that save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. That's just a little bit weird, but... And someone called Ansgar's biography, Ansgar, from the 800s, we read that the baptism itself was something that the Vikings would rather wait with. They believed that it was best to be baptized when they were old and at the end of life. Written sources indicate that the baptism of the Vikings was a priority of the missionaries. Baptism was crucial for Christianity, and according to the church, once they have been baptized, people were precluded from participating in the pagan cult. They could practice their religion no more. As baptism was such a big step, the church came up with a smaller step, which enabled the Vikings to stand with a foot in both camps. In this, non-Christians were marked with the sign of the cross and a non-committal precursor of baptism. The Vikings may have thought they were hedging their bets by believing in the old gods as well as Christ, and the odds would be in your favor with more gods, right? And that's basically what they thought. For example, the Icelandic book Lenemabok about Helgi den Magre. Helgi, the lean, describes how although Helgi believed in Christ, when at sea or in particular difficult situation, he would actually pray to Thor. This is one of the rune stones that were found. And you can see the tendrils or interlacing branches surrounding that person, just as Odin would be depicted surrounded by tendrils or branches of Yggdrasil. And what does that technically look like, though? So here's another picture with his arms spread out, and he's hanging from the tree. And here's another person hanging from a tree. I'm not saying they're the same or anything, don't get me wrong. After most were converted, restrictions were in place, placing newborn children outside to die, for example, was no longer allowed. In addition, horse meat was not to be eaten. The horse had great significance in the old religion because of Odin's horse Sleipnir. But all opposition was not defeated overnight, and many Vikings continued to worship the Norse gods in secret or under the cloak of Christianity, like I said before. After the official Christianization of Denmark, a chambered tomb at Thumbi Bienebek, I'm going to murk this pronunciation, but you can look. Thumbi Bienebek, and that name is evidence of a family covering different options. The buried woman wore a silver cross around her neck, and she was therefore probably a Christian. However, several iron Thor's hammers had also been nailed into the outside of the coffin. And this was probably not according to the buried woman's own wishes, but may instead show how her family wanted to be completely sure that all went as well as possible in the afterlife. From previous videos, there was also evidence of Esau being Odin, and from Genesis 32, we have these verses. And Jacob went on his way, and the angels, Strong's means messengers, of God met him. And when Jacob met them, he said, "This is God's host," and host meaning army or camp. And he called the name of that place Manaheim, 2 camps. And it's weird that it says Manaheim because that's a Norse word. Manaheim, dwelling place of human beings, also called Midgard. And he also calls them angels or messengers of God. I'll do the rest in the next part because it's just too big for the rest of the video. So see you in the next one. Genesis 32.